This is the Alienware Aurora R16 desktop PC, and it's the 13th gen version, last year's version, but if you're gonna get the new one right now, you're gonna get the exact same case. I think more or less the same specs as well, at least configurable. And today what we're gonna do is not to benchmark everything that's in here because a lot of people have done that already.
Yeah, but to show what's actually inside and is it really worth paying for?
Worth paying for, upgradability, and why you should and shouldn't buy a desktop like this, even though the price is very competitive. So we will start off by talking about the specs first. If you're gonna order this thing, you're gonna get actually the Dell wired keyboard, KV216, and also an MS116 wired mouse. So keyboard mouse bundle.
Yeah, it's basically the bundle you will get from a lot of Dell's PC if you order one now.
I don't know how usable it is, but it's up to you if you want to use it or not. At least they give you something.
To me, it's actually very usable because peripherals from Dell don't really suck compared to some of those I've seen.
I agree, they are okay quality, but up to your personal preference and also your tolerance. And then for the desktop itself, this thing comes with an Intel Core i9-13900F. Double 16 gigs DDR5, 5600 mega transfers per second. Double drives, one 512 gigs NVMe SSD, one more terabyte 7200 RPM. SATA drive. I don't know why they still give SATA drive, but okay, you can configure this as well. Just our specific configuration is like this. Also comes with an RTX 4080 graphics card, 1000 watt PSU Platinum, and also I think it's a 280mm radiator. Not 280, 240mm radiator.
240mm radiator, and it's usually made by Asetec.
I don't know, you can identify this later because he knows
Because most of the AIO nowadays that's given to the OEM partners are mostly made by Asetec.
Do you determine by the mounting style or the CPU block?
The bracket. The bracket itself.
Okay.
Mainly the bracket itself, you can really identify that it's coming from Asetec.
Okay, so he's gonna identify later. Then, since this is 13th gen, I cannot find the price of this, but I can find the price of the 14th gen, which is the newest one at 15,694 ringgit Malaysia for this exact same specs. Okay, so what we're gonna do, dismantle everything, check if we can upgrade any future parts, because I think one biggest problem you buy this kind of desktop is upgradability. A lot of things are using proprietary motherboard, proprietary size of your motherboard, proprietary connectors, proprietary PSU, all those stuff. So yes, we shall do that today.
So if you look at the front I/O here, you get 3 USB Type-A ports and a USB-C port, and as well as a combo audio jack for your, headphones or something that comes with both mic and of course the audio itself. Okay, now if we look at the back I/O ports, we can actually see 2 USB Type-C, which is quite a lot for a pre-built nowadays.
I also realized there's no Thunderbolt. There's one 10 gigabits, one 20 gigabits.
Yeah, that's something.
I don't know if the 20 gigabits is Gen 2 X2. No. USB 3.2 Gen 2 X2. That one is 20 gigabit, but also USB 4 is capable of going 20 gigabits.
More than that, yes.
But then I don't know what's the port going for.
6 more USB Type-A ports. I believe these 2 at the top should be 2.0 based on the labeling here. So still more than enough for most users, because if you're on 2.0, people are mostly going to connect it for peripherals.
Yeah, keyboard, mouse.
But one thing I'm surprised that they still have a lot of space right here, and I don't know. They could have included more USB ports because it's a Z690 chipset motherboard. So
personally, I hope they would give us more USB ports. I think this is borderline enough for my use case.
If you give another 2 more USB Type-A, I guess, it'll be awesome for a pre-built PC.
One more Thunderbolt, please. Then to open up the case, unscrew this, pull out.
Oh yeah, you really need to unscrew that, because the first time when I tried to take the side panel, away from the case. I have no idea how to take it off until he pointed out that, oh, there's something there and you should try to unscrew it.
Yeah, it's kind of a safety lock, I guess. Actually, there's a lot of safety features.
The thing about the side panel is they are still using acrylic instead of the notorious tempered glass.
Yeah, and then if you look at the back here, there's a lot of vents. This is for your GPU to take in air directly from here. And you can see there's a lot of metal pieces. These are all hooks to the main frame itself, and also to add rigidity, especially during shipping. You know, you buy this thing, they're gonna ship from factory. Okay, so once we open it up, we can see a lot of toolless mechanisms.
Not just that, you can see a lot of supporting brackets and I don't even know what they'll call this thing anymore. Proprietary brackets,
yes,
supporting mechanisms, cables, and that's a lot of things going on right here compared to what you get on a more commonly obtainable case in the market.
Yes, sir. So if you see, I want to comment on one thing first. That RAM is ugly.
I mean, yeah, if you're paying like 5 figures for a PC, I expect it to be at least black in color for the PCB itself.
Yeah, and then this SSD, no built-in heatsink, which I think should be okay, but if you upgrade to something third-party, then you're gonna get heatsink anyway.
Yeah, that's the issue. But if you're getting those third-party SSD that actually comes with that big thick piece of metal as a heatsink, there shouldn't be any issues.
Yeah, and then we also have a second M.2 SSD slot. Surprisingly, they label a thermal pad area there. Why?
Did they?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
2 screws to hold it in place. 2 latches to hold it in place.
Oh, okay.
And then I think the whole thing just snaps in. But then we'll go through that later. For the GPU mount, toolless.
Oh, okay. It's basically the same as a lot of Dell PC I've seen in the past. It's a good design, I would say.
Yeah, this is very sturdy. I mean, some other cases that we've tried before, if you're gonna bend some metal, the whole thing is gonna be bent.
Yeah, compared to this one, they actually, as I mentioned just now, they use very good galvanized steel for the overall case construction. So even for small piece of metal like this, it will not bend that easily.
Yeah, and then there's one GPU bracket here to prevent the thing from moving.
And
This
of course,
one,
prevent it from sagging as well.
this one is to prevent sagging also, because the thing,
It supports the end of the GPU.
yes, and it has airflow. So there is a fan inside here
Okay.
to blow air to here, and then you remember the side panel is also open on this side,
yeah,
so
that's true.
air can go in as well.
That will help a lot with the thermals.
Yes, and then the 12-volt high power cable, is this custom?
This is not something you'll get from the cards you buy in the market. So I would say this is a custom cable from Dell themselves, or maybe other OEMs are using the same design.
And one more thing I want to highlight, look at the graphic card PCI slot. The thing is metal reinforced.
Oh, okay. It's basically what those reputable brands are doing as well.
So they really take their shipping damage, potential shipping damage into consideration as well.
Yeah,
This thing is sturdy as hell.
with that reinforced PCIe slot and of course the bracket that holds the graphics card, it's very unlikely for you to have, a graphics card that comes off together with the PCIe slot itself during shipping, which we have seen a lot in the past.
If you want to upgrade your GPU, pull this, push this, pull the whole thing out. It's a frame locking into the fan's frame. The fan is also using some proprietary frame because you got this piece of plastic bracket on top.
Okay. But I mean, looking at the fan design itself, I believe you can actually replace the fan as long as the dimension is the same as the original one they included with this PC.
Should we take out one of the fan?
I mean, you can try,
Should be simple.
because we're gonna show people what this thing is all about anyway.
Yeah, push the blue thing and pull out, I think.
Yeah, it's a pretty standard fan, I would say.
Oh, they got anti-vibration mounts.
I mean, for this kind of design, I say it will help if it's directly mounted to the case. Oh, okay.
Seagate Barracuda.
They're using a Seagate Barracuda 1TB.
You can configure this to 2 TB if I'm not wrong. And do you remember this kind of tuneless candy design?
Yeah.
Kind of like Kuro Masters.
No, I mean, it's been around for ages.
10 years at least.
You can see this design on a lot of pre-built PCs from Dell especially.
Yeah, and then if you want to upgrade easy, you can just pull out, change your own drive, put it back in.
Save you a lot of time compared to those that requires you to screw it in.
Yeah. So for power supply, okay, I did some research. Apparently a lot of people, they wanted to upgrade their Alienware R15 or 16. Turns out the shape of the PSU is proprietary.
Oh.
Not only the connectors, even the shape is proprietary. So you need to buy back the own Dell Alienware power supply, put it in, connect everything. And then if you realize, I don't know if this one has everything plugged in, because the Google images I found out, some of the EPS cables, they got 8 pin but only 6 of them are plugged in.
Headers.
But also depends on what CPU you're using. If you're using high power ones like this, then you should connect
But
everything.
for most of the time, you don't really need to have both of them plugged in. Even a single one will do.
Yeah.
Especially CPUs that doesn't have case like this one.
I mean, if you just want to boot up, then fine, you don't have to plug in both. If you want to use it in full power, please plug in as much as you can.
For pre-builds, I don't think they encourage you to even try to overclock the system.
This is an F, not a K.
So it's not really an issue if you're using an F SKUs compared to the K SKUs.
So now it's time for your expertise. Please judge on the AIO cooler mount and also the VRM heatsinks. Are they enough?
It really depends on your usage though. Because from the tests I've done throughout this time with the 3900K, it draws a lot of power unless you set the PL1, PL2 in the BIOS. So it will limit the amount of power the CPU will draw in order to maintain the system performance at a certain level for a short amount of time or a longer amount of period if you're doing something like rendering that requires you to constantly maintaining specific performance compared to games that sometimes only boost the CPU to a much higher frequency for a shorter period of time for some performance during certain scenes.
Can you set the PL1, PL2 on F-series processors?
It shouldn't be too much problem if you're on a Z chipset.
Anything else you want to highlight? Because I think for the overall upgradability, you can't really do much. Motherboard is also proprietary, so you cannot change to any other things to reuse back the case.
The biggest reason why you cannot upgrade the motherboard is the front I/O. If you look at the motherboard design, you can see that it actually has an extended piece here.
Hey, I didn't realize what.
See? Extended piece right here.
Oh, that goes to the front.
Yes, that goes to the front.
Oh, there's no breakout board. But overall, despite being such a not so upgradable desktop, there's still quite a lot of things that you can change easily. Fans, for example, AIO cooler. I'm not sure what mounting system they use, but then you can change the fans if you want to,
Mainly,
or to clean them.
the easiest to upgrade for pre-built like this with proprietary stuff are mainly the fans, because fans shouldn't be too far off from the specs, especially the dimensions. Your DRAMs, sometimes even your SSD as well. GPU can be quite rare for certain models because limited power and sometimes it lacks the connector for it.
Yeah.
But for this one, it's a
Shouldn't be a
1000 watt.
problem.
It's a 1000 watt power supply. So it should be fine for anything that's 4080 or below.
Yeah, and also the Wi-Fi card is another concern of mine. I don't know if they use the motherboard BIOS whitelisting for the Wi-Fi card, because it happened to me on a Lenovo laptop.
If you use other Wi-Fi card, it will just
refuse to work. Yeah. So overall, this thing quite upgrade friendly in some ways, but not really.
Not too friendly when it comes to fully upgradable thing, but for most of the case, the smaller parts that's upgradable is still fairly reasonable.
Yeah, easy to access if it's upgradable. Like processors not gonna be easy because it's the standard desktop socket. GPU, you have to dismantle quite a lot of things, but all of them are considered easy.
Plus, they actually give you a lot of support.
Overall, for the price of 15,600 something ringgit Malaysia, it's actually not bad, you know.
It's not too bad in a way, if given that you don't really do a lot of parts upgrade or part swapping like we do.
Yeah, even if you compare the prices with some of the other boutique PC builders, the price is around the same for the same specs. Of course, I went baller with those cases like Fractal Torrent and whatnot because I think it looks nice. It's around the same price. Very competitive. But future upgradability is the big question for this type of pre-builds.
But by the end of the day, if you ask me about recommendation, do I recommend people getting this kind of pre-builds, or is it worth of the price? I would say it really depends on your usage. For me, I will only recommend to people who don't really upgrade, especially those who they just want to buy a working PC, plug in power, turn on, and that's it. Use it for their daily gaming session or other stuff. But for those who are those people who are really into, whoa, something new came out, I want to upgrade, then
yeah, this is definitely
not for you.
Yeah, upgradability is the big problem here. So
it's upgradable but limited. Oh yeah,
warranty support.
Regarding warranty support, yes, that's one of the selling point of Dell's PC, because from my past experience, it's been great, really great.
Yeah, no question about that. Dell's policy for all of I think they'll go to your house and fix it, right? If they can.
Even if they cannot fix it, they will prepare another unit just in case. If they will not come to your house unless you allow them to. You can even make appointment outside. Let's say you want to make an appointment at Mama.
Open my desktop at a Mama.
They will schedule the appointment with you. But if it's desktop, most probably I'll schedule them to come to my house, and they will diagnose first. And if they find out that there's no way for them to fix it on the spot, they will just bring out that unit, do a one-to-one swap with you, and of course for your data, they'll probably just get your old SSD back and swap it in and see if everything works well. So that's one of the best after-sales service you can find, I would say.
I mean, it's just too bad we cannot reuse this case for standard motherboard.
Oh yeah.
It's a very nice case, very sturdy.
I mean, there's still some ways if you manage to get some,
drill your own.
No. If you manage to find certain custom PCB providers that make things that's specially designed for this kind of case, then yeah, there's limitless potential on Taobao. So you can do some digging. If you manage to find one, then yes.
Okay, I think time to end video is quite long already. So overall, if you can upgrade, easy. If those things that cannot be upgraded like motherboard and whatnot, 15K is kind of dependent on whether or not it can upgrade.
It's really something that I'll call subjective in a way.
Yeah. If you just want to buy something, play games, you don't plan to upgrade, good deal. One more thing, uninstall McAfee first.
Uninstall your what?
McAfee.
Oh yeah, that's something that's...
I will link you something, okay, from... What's that thing again? What was the Sergeant thing website downloads?
Major Geek?
Major Geek. Major Geek has something called McAfee removal tool. That thing is real good. Use that. I'll link you to that.
Yeah, honestly, you don't really need too much antivirus because Windows Defender itself is doing a Wonderful job.
Good enough already for nowadays. Okay, finish.